On this week's show, we're discussing every big reveal from this past week's Xbox Showcase, our Switch 2 launch impressions, and our Mario Kart World review. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we get together to round up all of the week's video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. Just search for the GamerGuild Podcast or GamerGuild TV and you will find us there every Monday. We go live at 8 a.m, rounding up all the juicy news. Your podcast players for the week are myself, the returning at Arcane Rogue, Chris, and the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie.
Hello, everyone.
Hello indeed, and we do have a great show lined up for you all, but before we get into all that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe and ring-a-ding-ding that bell so you are kept in the loop with all of the great content we do here on this channel, like this very show, like our weekly live streams with you, the wonderful community, and all of the other juicy content in between, like our retro views, our Clicker Cast, Last of Us watch-along show, and everything else. Richie, we've got a merchandise store, and there is a sale coming up imminently. I think it's at the end of the month, so I don't think we have to panic just yet. I think there's like a 20% off everything sale, but I would like to draw people's attention to a new piece of merchandise that's just dropped. It's called the Boys, and it's all four of our faces in pixel form. Boys with a Z or a Z for our American listeners out there. That's going up, but again, we like to make sure our community get discounts, so don't buy anything just yet. Wait till the end of the month. We'll tell you next week when the sale is, but I believe it's 20% off everything. So you might as well save yourself a couple of pounds this summer and have a look at the merchandise store. Then we do have a weekly live stream. Not sure what it's going to be this week. Most likely Pokemon, I'm guessing, Richie? At some point, maybe, possibly,
yes.
Squeeze it in?
Actually, at the time of recording, I'm about halfway through recording episode 8. I had to stop to record this and then I'll go back and finish.
That's commitment. And of course, we've had a manic summer showcase season kicking off last week. Thank you very much to Tom again jumping in and covering all of the news from the PlayStation State of Play Summer Game Fest. We initially had planned to do a Xbox showcase kind of pickup later on the Sunday evening, but the weekend's just been that manic. No time in the show because you and Tom went to like 1 hour 40 anyway. And if anyone hasn't been able to tell, I've now officially moved house, hence why all my shit's gone. It's now in boxes to the side of me. I've not stopped, so I literally haven't even had the time or energy to comprehend doing any more gaming stuff. So again, apologise for the lack of usual cadence to our streaming. We are aware that FBC Firebreak is out this week, so we'll try and squeeze a Let's Play. And I know a couple of people in our Discord community are dying to do a Mario Kart stream as well. So I'm feeling more maybe co-op for that one, Richie. So somehow we'll get together in a room and do it there. So it just makes sense, couch co-op friendly. But in and amongst all that, we've somehow managed to squeeze in some actual gaming time. We'll start with you because mine kind of feeds into the news topics of the week. So I'll probably put a pin in that until we get to that. But we do like to start every show with speaking to each other about what we've been playing. So I know what Tom was playing last week. He's got the Platinum Trophy now. So he's pushed ahead with Expedition 33. I haven't spoke to you since football the other week, but I'm guessing that's the little gem that you're playing right now is Expedition 33 as well?
It is. I can't remember whether I got the Platinum in Oblivion before or after recording last week's show, but I have the Platinum in Oblivion now. So I bought Expedition 33.
Mm-hmm.
And I have already fucked up the Platinum Trophy.
Yep, the opening area will get you that.
There's a collectible in the prologue, and unlike every other game, like modern game that has a new game plus, collectibles don't carry forward. So I'm really, really hoping they packed that to stop me having to replay the entire game again for the Platinum.
That would be very nice.
Yes.
Is it the key that you're missing?
No, It was a record.
Right.
I think I might also be missing a key then.
I hope I got the record then. Yeah, you get the key from one of the vendors, and apparently that doesn't come into play until hours and hours later.
I think I did all 3 vendors, but when I actually watched your footage, you did a mini game that just wasn't. I'm pretty sure I talked to everyone, but you did a mini game where I think you were attacking some random target.
Oh yeah.
I thought I talked to everyone, and it just wasn't there.
Somehow it wasn't that. I actually think,
So, I don't
Richie,
know.
just to maybe put a smile on your face, that record in question from the guide I've been using, I believe you can pick it up later on in the game. It's like hidden somewhere else in the story.
Oh,
So
it's
don't,
the
so
same record.
don't,
There's
so
a
don't,
duplicate.
yeah.
there.
So don't lose hope just yet. I feel like you might be okay there. So keep tracking.
Still.
But
Yeah,
yes,
I think they need to patch it so you
quality
can New Game
improvement.
Plus.
In terms of the game itself, though, Tom's waxed lyrical. I've waxed lyrical now. It's your turn. How are you finding it?
My only issue with the game is the fucking parry windows. Sometimes they're just a bit too tight.
Gotta get good.
Yeah, but it's frustrating if you how tight it is, and if you miss it slightly, you just get annihilated. That's the Soulsborne element of the game that I do not like. Everything else about the game I love.
So what makes it Soulsborne? Just because it's difficult?
It's the having to parry windows or dodge at very tight times where you have to get good, and sometimes if you miss it, it's sometimes just not fun. That's the only bit that in the combat I don't like. It's just a bit too punishing in that sense.
So tell me about the game, though. Forget
The game.
mechanical stuff
Yeah.
aside and difficulty spikes and stuff. Tell me about the game. Or tell our audience about the game, because I feel like there's a massive group of our audience playing it and loving it, and now all three of us have got it. I actually told Rob about it last week whilst I was moving, and just that initial premise, he was like, huh, okay, that sounds interesting. I'm like, damn right it is. So yeah, tell us.
Other than the parry windows, I'm loving the turn-based combat, loving all the different synergies between characters and building the strategies up and all that kind of the strategic element of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Narratively, it just gets you, it sinks its hooks into you immediately. And I think we were talking about football where we almost teared up in some of the opening scenes, like straight away, it's getting you by the heartstrings.
Yeah, if you want to go see a grown man almost cry, just watch the first half an hour of our first look up on the channel now, because it almost gets me.
I was exactly the same. Like playing it, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is just going to be a bit of an emotional roller coaster kind of thing, isn't it?" It has comedy as well, though. The gestures are quite sometimes hilarious.
They are, yeah, the little kooky characters.
Yeah. But I'm not that far in the story. I think I'm only maybe about 10 hours in, and I have been doing a bit of exploration.
Yeah. The worlds are just stunning, though, right? Like some of the have you got to there's like an underwater section? I think you hit quite early after you reach the open map.
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm past that.
Yeah, you're underwater, but you're not underwater. But it's like just beautiful, like everything, just like from the fauna and the flora to like just the creatures.
The flying waters or something. The area.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I've passed through that. It's like the second area you go through. I think that.
Yeah. Favorite character so far?
That's hard to say, to be honest. I'm leaning towards Mael at the moment.
Okay.
Lune is pretty good as well. But yeah, it's hard to know. I have got what's the big weird your mount called again?
Esker.
Esker, I've got Esker.
Hello, Richie. Let's go fly. He's so funny when he what does he say when you go really fast? It's like it's such good comic relief, because he's basically, for those who aren't aware, he's I guess he's like your fast travel in a way in the open world.
I haven't unlocked any of his abilities. I've only locked his basic ability.
Right.
Get over the rubble. So that's just
right. Oh, so I might be a little bit ahead of you then on this one, but I haven't played it in a week. But yeah, there's points when
for his stone friend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's Francois.
Yeah, I'm looking for Francois.
In the next game. Francois. Yeah, I think he's brilliant. Yeah, the comedy moments are great. The character acting for me, and like you said, the voice acting is like top level. I think Charlie Cox of Daredevil fame for his first like voice performance. I think he absolutely smashes out the park. Like the subtlety and nuance in his delivery.
I recognise
brilliant.
The voice.
Yeah, it's Daredevil.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, and just like how calm and like he helps create his character's personality and his voice so well. And like his little mannerisms and stuff, and the way he talks, and yeah, his vocal range is great in it. Yeah, like I don't know what more to say about it. I've actually said to my wife, so it's Father's Day tomorrow, so I get to sleep in, because that's like my treat for the week. So tonight I'm literally playing PlayStation after tea all night long into the early hours, and then I'll regret getting lack of sleep tomorrow morning. But I'm going to have a solid 5 hours, I reckon, tonight at least. So looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Combat's fun. And if you've not picked up Expedition 33 yet, it's probably my game of the year frontrunner already, and I'm not even probably halfway through.
It's definitely in the mix for me.
Yeah. And coming off the back of Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I know we said 2 weeks ago, I didn't rate. I think I rated it the lowest out of all the recent Assassin's Creeds. I was to jump from that to this, it was immediately you can see Ubisoft are just lacking in that story writing, the character, even just visuals to a lot of stuff. And it's how is a small team? Bear in mind this crew, Kepler and Sandfall, ex Ubisoft devs. That's the ultimate irony in all that. It's these people used to work there. They've honed their craft, left and made something better.
Feel like, reading between the lines, have they been just a bit hamstrung with the creative vision by working at Ubisoft? Because with Ubisoft being this massive behemoth, financial behemoth with investors, do they keep leaning towards the safe option?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Expedition 33 is not a safe option as a game at all.
No.
It could have easily. I was talking to Tom about this, where you can very see the mix of different genres coming into play. Everything from Soulspawn to turn-based RPGs. You can see things like Persona elements in there, to heavy in the Final Fantasy. It could have very easily fallen into the realm of just quite generic if they hadn't married all these concepts up properly. But because they have, it's exceptional.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, master of none, it could have very much been. And yet it masters a lot of stuff. Just like you and me have mastered the craft of podcasting after 467 episodes. I'd say we're pretty well versed right now. We do have our 100th episode of the GamerGuild Podcast coming up soon in the next couple of weeks. So we'll lock something in for a stream or something. We'll try and get the gang together for you guys out there. But yeah, keep in mind that's on its way, as is the merchandise sales, as I mentioned. But Richie, we do have a busy show because we did put a pin in the Xbox Showcase, and in some ways it's actually benefited us because outside of Showcase news and reveals, there's not actually that much gaming news this week. So luckily we've got about 100 games to get through. So Richie, could you do us the honours of introducing us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka the news. And of course, the news is always brought to you by our wonderful gaming heroes, the fantastic folks who support the channel that extra little bit further, just like you can. From as little as 99p, you can support this 4-person merry band of podcasters through our gaming adventures as we get together and round up all the news. Of course, we do have higher tiers, stickers and badges next to your name in the live chat, and a bunch of other perks like early access to some of our live streams and some of our content, like the Clicker Cast, Richie's playthroughs, and anything else we happen to put out across the years. Richie, Xbox Showcase, it happened on the Sunday afternoon. I ended up watching, I think, later in the evening when I managed to find some time between moving. What a showcase. I know they had a really good one last year, coming out with hit after hit, and I think last year really highlighted that all of the planets have almost aligned for Xbox's first party now. They have their little third party deals and such going on, but ultimately we've seen with the cadence of the beginning of this year, they are firing on all cylinders, and overall I thought this showcase wasn't maybe as good as last year. It was maybe a rung down the ladder. But overall, I thought it was beat after beat, really good delivery, really good trailers, some exciting stuff in between there, some big games announced, and some little updates which we've became accustomed to seeing from Xbox because they've kind of got so much on a rotating cycle. They have to put a window in for something like Sea of Thieves or updates to Grounded and such as well. So you do love to see it. But shall we get into the actual game announcements, Richie? Because there were quite a few indeed. Just one or two.
Just one or two small ones. They did kick things off with The Outer Worlds 2, which is officially coming on October 29th this year. Outer Worlds 2, I think, is more in your wheelhouse for what you're probably going to play. We've knew about it for some time. Of course, this is Obsidian's... Spoilers for the news ahead. This is going to be their third game coming out this year, which is just baffling to me. But yeah, Outer Worlds 2. I never got around to checking out the first one. We've got a date of just before Halloween later this year. And yeah, the trailer just showcases... It's essentially Fallout in space, right? Is what I'm gathering from everything.
Yeah, I think Fallout in Space is kind of a very good description from what I understand of the game. Again, I haven't personally played number one, which that's where it kind of puts me on a slightly less interested in Outworlds 2 because number one didn't do enough to get me actual hands on the sticks. So I kind of in that thing where do I need to play one before two? I actually don't know at this point. I don't know whether it's just a completely different game in the same universe or is it a follow on from the story.
Well, in a similar
So
way
I'm not.
to Avowed, when they brought the first one, they said Obsidian were trying to craft RPGs that they didn't take hundreds of hours. And I think similar to Avowed, I think you can
Yeah,
wrap that up in about 40. I think the same was said for Outer Worlds 1, and I think the sequel, albeit it'll be a little bit longer, it does feel like Obsidian are just kind of like the masters now of making an RPG that doesn't absorb your entire life. You can get in, have a nice story. I think they did say with the first game they had hoped to add some more planets in at some point, but then clearly they've just opted to double down on a sequel instead,
yeah,
which seemingly at the rate they're able to churn these out, it's looks wackier, new weapons, new creatures and stuff, but then expanded story and dynamics. And yeah, I think Fallout in Space describes it perfectly, and
yeah.
it
From
looks
what I can
good.
tell is if you love the Outworlds one, Outworlds two is very much going to be up reality. It looks just like to my eye at the moment more of the same.
Hmm.
The next iteration of that gaming franchise, which is not a bad thing sometimes.
Yeah, it's got a really good bit of like steampunk vibe to it as well, which I think
Yeah,
a lot of games kind of lean into, but do some most of them don't do it really justice. I think BioShock is the key one that's always nailed that one, and this
yeah.
has
I
that
feel like
great vibe too.
it's almost like Fallout meets Bioshock in
Yeah, that's a
space.
good that's a probably very apt description. I think if you enjoy any merits of those, you'll enjoy this. But yeah, shout out to Obsidian. Avowed, what, 2 months ago now? And then come October, you're going to get this
Yeah,
one. And I think we've discussed it before, but this should free up Obsidian to work on another Fallout game while Bethesda crack on with Elder Scrolls.
that
Surely.
that would be the hope. Probably a remake of like New Vegas. It feels like that feels like the one that everyone's
Yeah.
waiting on.
It's so odd how some games come so frequently and others seem to take a lifetime to get here. But yeah, I don't have any more to add on Outworlds other than it's like coming October. It looks great, looks fun, and if
Yeah,
I find a slice of time, it's there. But unfortunately, this is the Game Pass issue. Is it comes up against other games of a similar ilk that are now coming out at similar times, and then they kind of overlap each other. Like you can't,
so,
the value is undoubted, but it's the
yeah.
time.
Sometimes it's your gaming it's your decisions are based on what's coming out that's got your attention at that moment when you're looking for a new game to play.
Yeah, it's very much about the
And
timing.
yeah, Outer Worlds could be something I'd be very interested in, but then I'd want to play number one first, which adds that extra level of complication. Which means when do I find time a gaming calendar to play one before two comes out, and
Yeah,
what else has come out around that
and
same
then they
time?
go and drop Oblivion remake halfway
Yeah,
through, and it's like, oh, I can't even get through the new stuff, let alone the remakes of the old stuff that I already have love and nostalgia for. So, anyway, next up we got High on Life 2, which was a big surprise for me. I feel like we only played High on Life like maybe not last Christmas, the Christmas before, and
did
here it
we play
is.
it on Stadia? Or was that
No,
on
I think it was one
or
of
was
it
it
was Xbox
Xbox?
Game Pass because I don't own it. I had it on Game Pass, but yeah, we played it just before that Christmas. Had an absolute blast with it. Again, the comedy. If you enjoy Rick and Morty, this is initially from the original creator Justin Roiland with his Squanch Games thing, but obviously since that game came out, he no longer works there, and he no longer voices Rick and Morty because he had some nefarious things that he got caught out for. And yeah, they've stepped in and we didn't really. I don't know if you could hear it in the trailer, but I don't think they did much of the actual voices because the
No.
unique thing with High on Life was every one of the weapons had like. I remember Knifey, they all had like their own voices, and yeah, this seems
Which
to be taking it to the max with the next one, but seemingly not following.
yeah, with High on Life, it's one of them. That style of humor I found I actually enjoy, but in a game, it felt a bit much, a bit too concentrated. It's one of them for a half an hour TV show. Great, a 10-hour game. I started after like 1 hour in. I started to get quite irritated by it.
Mm.
And that's my only thing. So I actually personally would hope that for High Life 2, they've toned that side down a bit. Not lost it.
Yeah.
Just dialed it back a little bit to give that style of humour a little more space to breathe.
Yeah, not coming to. I guess it is coming to Game Pass this time. Sorry, I was going to say they changed the branding a little bit in the showcase where it shows you the platforms stuff's coming to, and then they've got like down in the bottom left the showcase. It's a little like white tile that has Xbox Game Pass in Play Anywhere, so it's a little bit more subtle the way they talk about it. But
I think everything's pretty much Xbox Game Pass and Play Anywhere.
It seemed like it, yeah.
Yeah.
And we should shout out before we get deep into the show. A lot of the stuff that we're going to see and talk about today, the PlayStation logo was front and center on nearly every one of these trailers. Like the plaster is fully ripped off now. I feel like it with Gears coming as well later this year. We're literally just sitting on Halo making an appearance now, and I don't think we're going to get that till next year. But by then, Xbox is a third-party publisher through and through now.
That almost feels like Halo feels like the game where it's like, yeah, we've done. We are happy to publish our games on PlayStation. End of story. Halo is like that one game, isn't it?
Yeah, this is us.
It's Halo. I think it's kind of the mascot for Xbox as a brand, or at least in its early years.
And it's working for them.
That on PlayStation, yeah.
And it's working for them, absolutely. So yeah, High on Life 2. I enjoyed the first one, the first like 10 odd hours I played of it, and yeah, more of the same. It's nice to see a sequel being turned around so quickly. It seems to have a little bit more in terms of traversal in this one as well. There's a little bit more focus on the grappler, maybe portal hopping, similar to Ratchet and Clank. Yeah. So the character seems to jump between different worlds quite frequently in the trailer. So not really gameplay. It was more of definitely a cinematic trailer, but more High on Life. Game did really well, and as
it looks
I said,
gorgeous though.
It does. It's very colourful, very bright, and it's got a distinct style to it. So we shall see. Coming this winter, so not too long till we probably get a date on that one as well. Next up, we have a game that I called out, Richie, when we did our predictions. If you recall, we went through each studio, we said what was going to be what, and the team who made Plague Tale are back with Resonance: A Plague Tale Legacy. So we've had 1 and 2. We've had Amicia and Hugo's story play out with the macula and all the rats. This time they've gone 15 years prior with Resonance, and we're going to see a different part of the world. Seemingly, it looks like we're in ancient Greece. They talk about the maze and the Minotaur in the press release. So we're playing as Sophia, which I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me right, Sophia is she's a character you meet in the second game. She's kind of like a ship's captain who you broker a deal with her to get you over to the island for like the story to progress. It's like an island in the middle of the Mediterranean. And I'm pretty sure it can't be a coincidence that they've got the same name. Like, and it's 15 years prior, so I guess we're going to find out how the rats and the plague started. It would seem like a nice, easy way to tie it in. Although there's not a rat to be seen in the trailer. But
yeah,
you played 1. You haven't got round to 2.
I started 2, but wasn't feeling it at the time, and then never got back to it. You know when you go, okay, I need a new game, and you start about 3 different games before something clicks.
Yeah. Has your girlfriend played these ones yet?
Don't think so.
I feel like these are right up her alley in terms of what she likes as well.
I definitely do need to play 2.
Yeah.
It's very much on my list of games that I want to play.
Yeah. Coming 2026, 2 Xbox Game Pass as well, should be noted. But yeah, Asobo Studio, this is like their top game, but I can't wait. It's interesting because the way the second one ends, it could have went straight into a third game, but seemingly I think they're that confident with the brand and the kind of plaudits and stuff. Remember, Plague Tale Requiem got a lot of Game of the Year nods in its release back in 2022 or 21. I think this is such a big franchise for them. I think this is they're almost like, no, I don't want to say spin-off because it's obviously just its own fully fledged game, but I think do a third entry that's another character and another time in another location, and then if it does well, great, we've made more money from it. If it does okay, or maybe people want to see the main protagonist, the main story again, they can always go back to that well and put out a third one in 3-4 years time.
Maybe they need this game to tell the stories that they plan to tell in number 3.
Yeah.
There might be stuff that comes in. You mentioned if Sophia is the character you're thinking of, maybe you need to know a bit more of her backstory and what she's been through, and then this game will tie in to number 3.
Yeah, they could do. Everything you play in, like you played the first one, you don't really find out about the rats or how they started off or got about, or the kind of evil connections to religion and stuff that happens in it. They just exist and they're there, and they add for some quirky puzzle mechanics and gameplay. Second one does a lot to elevate that and make it a bit different, and I thought the second one was a lot better than the first one, which is why I know you're in for a treat when you finally get round to it. But then, yeah, I guess this, without having the rats, it's going to be more of an action game rather than a puzzle game, I think, which could be interesting to see how they kind of mix it up a little bit. And then, as you said, I think, yeah, they could kind of channel all that into a third game, have the rats back, have the puzzle mechanics and stuff, but then with maybe a bit more action from the other one. Because, of course, in the first and second game, you're playing as children, so action is kind of limited to just their physical abilities. A little 7-8-year-old boy called Hugo isn't going to go knocking out a big knight in armor and everything like that, so it lent itself to the stealth and such a bit more. But yeah, I'm hyped. I can't wait. Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy, coming 2026 to Game Pass, and obviously other platforms as well. Next up, we got some hardware. We thought about it. We expected it. We knew it was coming. Let's face it. But yes, the ROG Ally, or as we should say officially, the ROG Xbox Ally and the ROG Xbox Ally X. And in the reveal, it was quite notable. They actually just didn't even refer to Asus, I think, once. They just kept calling it the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X. And I think this is part of the marketing deal where Microsoft's pulling power wins out. It's like, yeah, they're going to be a third-party supplier. They're going to make it for us. But we don't want stinky Asus branding on our stuff. Like, we want our consumers in the general market to believe this is an Xbox handheld by Xbox for Xbox players.
Well, ROG is Asus's gaming brand, so you don't get Asus ROG, really. You just get ROG nowadays.
Yeah, the ROG Ally. But Xbox Ally and Ally X. We've got two variants, slightly different memory capacities as per usual, and different speeds. There was some price leaks that came out as of this morning, but I've not included them in the news because the sources are kind of like, we'll wait for the official ones. I think pre-orders are going to be up soon anyway, because this thing's probably going to launch prior to Christmas. So let's face it, we're almost at July, so they're probably going to get more detail out about it soon. But we've seen what it officially looks like, Richie. We know the versions of it. Price aside, they showcase quite a bit of the interface. It seems like you can just use the thumbsticks to navigate everything, so it doesn't have to be touchscreen. There's no little mouse cursor. It looks like it's all actually directional via the D-pad or the analog sticks. It has its Xbox button, and you can jump seamlessly between. I think they showed off every gaming platform except for Epic, if my eyes deceive me. So you saw Battle.net, you saw Discord, you saw Steam, you saw Xbox. I think the only major missing was Epic, which it might just be a deal that's yet to be done yet. It might be Epic holding their cards close to the chest to see how this pans out. It might
just be they've cut it from the trailer.
Yeah, maybe.
It could be that simple.
But overall, what are your thoughts?
It's exactly kind of what I expected, to be honest. We always knew these devices were going to be incredible. Arguably, the X is probably potentially going to come in as the best handheld PC on the market. That's kind of where I was thinking it's going to lie. It's hard to know till we see prices, because I do think the price can be the X might be £1,000. It's not the X where I think the price matters too much. It's the Xbox Ally, the base version. Because my slight skepticism of the fact that it has downloadable capabilities, you can play natively on it. Is that pushing this to more to the 400-500 price points, maybe? Rather than closer to the Portal's 200.
Well,
because that's a big step up in price.
Well, the leaks aside are putting it somewhere between 600 to 900, depending on the versions.
The base version, or
like probably for both, so they'll both sit somewhere between those boundaries.
See, I feel then the base version it's too pricey. It's more expensive than the Xbox.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Isn't it? Yeah.
Like, I'd love one, but there's no way I'm paying that price.
I mean, what's a Switch 2 now? Like 400, give or take, 430, I think, with Mario Kart included. So yeah, It's yeah.
I'm
when,
not saying that this is my thing. Is like I was talking about with this with Tom last week. It's not that I don't think they're worth that. It's just for what I want to use them for. PlayStation has set the bar because I would just basically want an Xbox version of my Portal, and they're giving me loads of extra features that I'm not actually that interested in. But then I'm paying for the hardware to run it.
Yeah,
That's where I feel like it's coming in a bit steep.
yeah. Well, we've both said before, haven't we, that we trust Xbox Cloud Gaming so much because we've used it so many times on the channel that I don't need all the hardware under the hood. I would be quite content with an Xbox handheld that just did Xbox Cloud Gaming, and that also mirrored my actual console. But do we need that? But again, this is the first crack at the whip. I think it looks better than the leaks that we saw. If you remember the ones from like the warehouse on the table that were like covered in dust and stuff, like in its like CG render and in its real branding, the correct colors on the sticks that are illuminated. It looks infinitely better. But yeah, I think price aside, I think it's going to fill a good gap. I'm glad to see Xbox pushing for this industry, for this market. Like they're not winning in the console space, so it's something that maybe they can get into and just remember everything's an Xbox, play anywhere. So
I'm not sure it fills the gap. I feel because the ROG Ally already exists. This is just an Xbox branded version.
Yeah, in their own portfolio.
Yeah, like the operating system might be a bit more tuned to running Xbox games.
Yeah,
but I'm not quite sure it fills enough of the gap. I feel the gap is where the Portal sits in the PlayStation kind of side of the market, and they've not quite filled it. My tune could be completely different on these when we see the prices. Yeah. But at the moment, I'm not expecting to be picking one of these up.
Looks good though. Looks good.
I think they look incredible, and I think if you are going to be playing natively and playing a lot, probably worth the money. Yeah. With the hardware in there, I think these are going to be worth the money.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that was probably the most surprising thing about the whole Xbox Ally reveal is that they showcase a lot of footage with Hollow Knight Silksong, and they said in there that it was like it sounded more cryptic than it should have been, but I think it was Sarah Bond who was doing the over voice, and she said like play Silksong later this year on the Xbox Ally at launch. So it was like, but with no date. So I listened to a few podcasts this week kind of reviewing the showcase. Some were interpreting that as like it's going to launch and you can play it on the Ally. Some were interpreting it as it's going to launch with the Ally, like part and parcel with it. So the same date. And it was the way she just said, like, you can play Silksong at launch on the Xbox Ally. But she didn't specify it was the hardware launch or when the game comes out. Because, of course, you can play the game on it, but...
I'd answer the side of caution there and go, if you can play Silksong at the launch of the Xbox Ally, that suggests Silksong is either going to come out at the same time or before the Ally.
Yeah.
Silksong could come out next week. Yeah. And then when this launches, yes, you can play it.
Yeah.
That's the only real promise they're saying there. If you go, if you buy one of these, you get Silksong. It's like, I wouldn't hope on that. Yeah. It's possible.
It was just one of them weird things that came out of it, and I think it only arose because everyone seems mega hyped for Silksong, and it's been maybe a bit too dormant and not forthcoming with a date for quite a while. I'm not overly fussed now. I played the first Silksong on the original Switch, and I had fun, but I just got lost in the Metroidvania of it all, where I kind of went up and down a couple of levels, got killed a few times, and I was like, the fun's kind of lost on me a little bit.
I feel it's a game. I do worry the game's a bit overhyped because how much the internet and a lot of press are very much adamant they want that game, want it. Yeah. But I feel like, when something's getting built up to, will it live up to the expectations? Mm-hmm. I do worry slightly for that game. If it comes out and is as good as the first Hollow Knight, will that be a disappointment for people because they've built it up too much in their own heads?
Quite possibly.
Moving on, though. Like a game that just needs to come out.
Yeah, it's already over delayed, but yeah, it does. Yeah. Another one we'll probably see in 2026 is the Blood of Dawnwalker. This is the first kind of bit of cinematic trailer we've seen, it shows a vampiric version of The Witcher, is how I can best describe it. and I explicitly lean into The Witcher because this is from ex-CD Projekt Red devs, Richie. So it very much is The Witcher crew.
I was getting Witcher vibes, to be honest.
It's The Witcher, but focusing on vampires more. So yeah, Rebel Wolves, new studio, just started up, and they're using Unreal Engine. They used to make Witcher, and from everything I'm saying, I'm like, this could be another I know the games industry, like the kind of inflation and reduction that happens, it sucks. And I think there was a story this week about Sony Bend laying off people as well. I don't actually think it's in our doc because quite frankly, I'm fed up of talking about layoffs and stuff as the news. It's like, yeah, it's just the same. That happens week in, week out for about 2 odd years now, hasn't it? But those people who leave, when they do find their feet and they go and found studios, it's games like this one and games like Expedition 33 that we wouldn't have if the games industry didn't have that swell of talent, and then they go on to bigger and better things independently. Where you look at this game, essentially is an indie game, and it looks gorgeous. They're going to hopefully learn everything they've learned about making Witcher 3 and put it in, and then we're going to have a whole new story with all new characters, amazing fun and gameplay, hours and hours of fun, and then you still got to get The Witcher as well. So it's like, no wonder you and me sit here after playing games for 30 plus years and go, I do not have time because we want to play the new stuff. The old stuff is still good. And then you've got all the remasters and remakes in between as well, which is revitalizing the old stuff for modern hardware. And then, yeah, I watch a trailer like this and I'm like, God, it looks pretty. It looks fun. I want to explore this world. But when it comes out, am I going to have the time and capacity to do it? But yeah, what are your thoughts on this one? Vampires, Witcher?
Yeah, I was also going to throw in a bit of Blade in there as well. Because you're a dawn walker rather than a day walker.
Yeah.
It's like, what if The Witcher was Blade?
I mean, yeah, that's a great concept to go in with.
I'm not 100% sold, but because we've only seen one cinematic trailer, but very much going to keep my eye on this one.
They did show some gameplay mixed in with it, and the gameplay again does look very Witcher, even like kind of like down to the font and the fantasy world they're going with. Not coming to Game Pass, but coming 2026 to Xbox and PC and cloud and stuff as well. So yeah, look forward to seeing that one. Do let us know in the comments, by the way, everyone, what your top game of the show is. We'd love to hear a bit more feedback from you after a insane weekend last week of just reveals, announcements, showcase, buzz, excitement. I think we all need a bit of a break to come down after it and actually let the dust settle and pick what we want to play, what we were hyped about the most. Was it Blood of Dawn Walker?
It's mad how most of the games that we've been talking about the last 2 weeks are either 2025 or 2026.
Yeah.
As well.
It felt like an E3 for all intents and purpose. I know we didn't have anything from EA really or Ubisoft there this year, but it was like we didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
Because these were stacked. Like going into this one, I was like, I'm not too sure what Xbox were going to bring, but then it just shows you Microsoft do a lot behind the scenes for third-party deals too.
It's stuff like this, stuff like Blood of the Dawnwalker and Expedition 33 must get companies like EA and Ubisoft quite a bit nervous because they're producing these games at sometimes a higher quality for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
And they must be like, why can't we do that? And they're constantly laying off people, and then the devs that laid off, we're not seemingly sometimes going to bigger and brighter things.
Indeed.
That's got to make you nervous.
And meatier things.
Meatier things?
Meatier things.
In extra dimensions.
Yes, that brings us to the next game reveal, which was Super Meat Boy 3D. You played Super Meat Boy before?
Yeah, I've never finished it, but
I think very few people have finished it. Yeah, it's the trailer started off with a warp pipe, and I saw loads of people think it was Mario popping off initially because there was a pipe. But no, Super Meat Boy, for those who haven't played it, it's a frenetically quick 2D platforming game where basically you will die probably more times than you breathe during playing the game. And it's just trying to traverse tons of meat grindy puzzles through factories and crazy worlds. And every time you die, you kind of leave a little blood splat, and that's kind of part of the humor. Then you just quickly respawn within a fraction of a second, and you're back at it, and you just have to try to complete the level. It's very old school style gaming, but to keep it old school, they've gone 3D.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've always loved. I always appreciate about Super Meat Boy is when you die, you almost immediately respawn. So there's none of that. Oh God, I've died, and now how do I get back to where I was? What have I lost?
Yeah.
You just right, try again.
Go get. You don't even get time to be frustrated
Yeah,
because you're just back in
that's it. It stops death being such a harsh punishment, and when death is so part of the game, it's like it's not about. It's a puzzle platformer in a sense, but to solve the puzzle, it's not about stop and have a think. It's about try.
Yeah.
Try, fail, iterate, fail. And now they're doing it in 3D.
Yeah. And it looks good. Again, part of me wants to explore this beautiful world that they've created, but then at the same time, I know I'm going to be dead every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
To give folks a little bit more context for this one, Super Meat Boy 3D is a tough as nails platformer where you play as an animated cube of meat who's trying to save his girlfriend, who happens to be made of bandages, from an evil fetus in a jar wearing a tuxedo. In 3D! Our meaty hero will leap from walls over seas of buzzsaws through crumbling caves and pools of old trash, sacrificing his own well-being to save his damsel in distress. In 3D! Super Meat Boy 3D brings the old-school difficulty of classic retro titles we all know and love and streamlines them down to the essential, no-bull, straightforward twitch reflex platforming, ramping up the difficulty from hard to soul-crushing. Meat Boy will brave lush, but also fire, forests, vast dumps filled with waste of mankind in 3D! And if a bunch of levels weren't enough, we also have epic boss fights and tons of unlockable secrets in 3D.
It's quite brave of them actually to go in 3D, because with Super Meat Boy was such a 2D platformer when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was unashamedly a 2D platformer.
Yeah.
So I think they must have spent long and hard thinking about what the sequel is going to be and decided to go with 3D, turn it into a 3D platformer. Maybe it's what the game needed is like, if maybe a Super Meat Boy 2, if it was still in 2D, might have just been a case of, we're just doing the same thing again. We need to iterate on the formula. So how do you do it?
Exactly. Just make it 3D.
3D.
In 3D. Next up, we got an update on Ninja Gaiden 4, which we saw revealed at the beginning of the year. It's now got a date of 21st of October 2025. So we got Ninja Gaiden, was it called Ninja Gaiden Red? I think was the kind of like rebooty one of number one. Well, Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out later this year. October's looking stacked as well. There's just so much going on there now. Koei Tecmo in partnership with Xbox. Any more movement for you on Ninja Gaiden, or is this one of those of just like, looks great, I know I'd have fun?
Yeah, it looks great. No, I'd have fun. It's a bit Soulsborne-y for my taste. So I don't know. I think there's going to be other stuff that coming out around.
Is it Soulsborne-y? Because I always thought Ninja Gaiden was close to like Devil May Cry, where it was more just like insane action, like hack and slash. Like I don't think it's as like
trailer. Well, I might be wrong, but maybe it's just so many games of Soulsborne nowadays. It's hard to tell. But either way, I'm just leaning towards giving a pass on this one because I feel like there's just going to be more stuff coming out that is going to grab my attention.
Yeah, I agree. It looks great though. I always think because it's Koei Tecmo, I always liken it to like Dynasty Warriors, where it's going to be like just button mashing chaos, where it's not really about defense. It's more just about offense and just attack, use your specials, use your combos, absolutely murder the shit out of people in a cool world where the futuristic ninjas exist. So that's one for me. Also, I do believe it's coming to Game Pass because the first one did as well. So, well, it doesn't say on this post. It is. Oh well, it's very standard. Game Pass pre-orders available now. Next up, we got some DLC for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle coming the 4th of September. This is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle: The Order of Giants, and they started off with the trailer by basically reviewing how well the game did, by showing off the accolades, playing the music, But we're both in a place now, Richie, where we finished Indiana Jones. So would you want to crack that whip a second time and go back for some more story content?
I could be tempted if I had the time. I feel like this year is so stacked though, I'd be less inclined to. I almost would prefer to wait longer for a full release rather than this only like waiting a year for a DLC.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how this pans out with Game of the Year discussions, because it was obviously loads of people's Game of the Year last year, but it missed out on all the official ones because of the date it came out. now it's since this year had its release on PlayStation back in March, April, whenever it was, and then with DLC coming in September just to kind of bump its relevance. I don't think it'll win any because I always think naturally it goes to the game that actually did come out the year of the award. But I think it could be in with a couple of like extra little honourable mentions and such in some other categories where it maybe would have had last year, but for some reason it missed the cutoff, so it wasn't in. But yeah, by Indiana Jones, it shows that the game for me has done well enough to merit some more content, which gives me high hopes for a sequel, which I do think it'll get.
Oh, 100%. I think this game is definitely getting a sequel. I can't see Xbox and Machine Games not working on a second one.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get to see
I
more
think
of
it's
that.
just a matter of time. Yeah.
Indeed. We also had the reveal of a game titled Beasts of Reincarnation. This is a third-person action game where you and your lovely dog take on a manner of gigantic, daunting-looking monsters. This is made, and the reason it caught most people's attention, Richie, by Game Freak. And it's not Pokemon. Again,
it's not Pokemon, and it's not Nintendo either.
I know they didn't intend this that crazy, but if you think between the Warp Pipe and Super Meat Boy, and then seeing Game Freak pop up, like almost like 2 minutes later, you could be forgiven for people thinking, is Nintendo trolling us here? Is there some like, we're here but we're not here stuff going on?
I think it's one of them things because you associate Game Freak so much with Pokemon and Pokemon so much with Nintendo. You forget that Game Freak actually are technically an indie developer.
Yeah.
They are not owned by Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo. I'm not sure, but I don't think Nintendo even own any shares in Game Freak. It's just a long-standing like partnership, really.
It keeps making money for all involved. But yeah, I saw a few people online like popping off saying like, "Oh my god, Xbox have like broke Game Freak out. They can finally make a gorgeous Pokemon game and all this other like back and forth." And it was like, no, Game Freak have been doing this for years. And actually, if you remember, I think Game Freak put a game out about, I want to say maybe 3 years ago now, and it got really poor reviews. I think it got like 5s and 6s out of 10s. So let's hope this one's a little bit better. What are the vibes you're getting from this game? Cool name, Beasts of Reincarnation. What are you thinking?
Cool name.
Looks a bit like Ninja Gaiden, but with a dog.
Yeah, I want to see more. Before, from what we've seen, looks cool, but it's like I'm getting a bit first trailer vibes where it's still really don't fully know what sort of game it's going to be just yet.
I get that. Well, it's 2026, so it's got a bit of time.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll go around and catch all the beasts in little balls and make them fight to be reincarnated. Yeah. Next up, though, we saw a extensive trailer for Clockwork Revolution, which is the new game from In Exile. Doesn't have a date yet. They explicitly even just said in due time was how they ended the trailer. So not even a year, not even a window. Yeah. Not even a tease. In due time, which I think is just a nod to the type of game it is with the time travel element.
Yeah.
It's like it'll be in due time.
Instead of doing it's 2026, it'll be in due time. That's what they're doing there.
Yeah.
This game needs a date.
It does.
1895, it's got one.
It's in a dated location. This trailer was such a weird one because it went so long compared to anything else in the showcase. A good 5.5 minutes, and it was almost like I went on a proper roller coaster with it. Whereas like I'm in, it's too much. I'm out now. It's too much, not my type of game. And then they showed me another feature. And I was like, I'm back in. And I was like, oh, maybe it's not quite for me. And then it was like, oh, that comedy's hilarious. I'm back in. And it's almost got like Outer Worlds, but I've got such a strong, because it's so heavily London influenced. I've got such a Assassin's Creed Syndicate vibe from the characters in it. Not obviously the robots and stuff like that, but the British typical twisty mustache villains. I've got that vibe. And yeah, the trailer went on for a bit. I think it's got that similar Bioshock meets something, but I can't quite put my finger on what it's meeting yet. And then there's the whole time travel element added to it as well, where like your actions will influence the story, and then you're going to jump back and forth in time to the same area but different time zones. And I think In Exile are famed for making like decision pathways, and everything matters, and what you do impacts the story. So I'm really curious to see how they play with that with time travel as well. I think it could be really intuitive and different from anything we've seen before. or it's going to be just another shooter, collect loads of gear, upgrade your weapons with a loosely attached campaign. But
Collect loads of gears.
yeah, but a lot of people for an Exile, they hold them in a high regard, similar to Larian with Baldur's Gate, in terms of like thread pathways and conversation and stuff. So if they can even get a shred of that into this game, again, similar to Expedition 33, it could be a multitude of layers, but they actually roll into telling a really, really good and engaging story.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in on this game. It just needs a date, and I think it's kind of weird because considering the trailer went for about 5 minutes rather than like 1 or 2 for most other games. That it feels like it just shows us more of the game, and then
it looks done.
It doesn't feel like they moved the needle and towards the release or anything. It's just like, oh yeah, we're going to show you some more of the game, but you're still gonna have to wait. This still could be a 2027 game for all we know. And it feels like it should be due out soon.
And this is the great problem Xbox are having of like, do they start to bank things and give them more time so that Game Pass cadence is well? Do they look at this and go, right, it's getting really good hype, let's bottle this up, keep it for a developer direct in February, and then we'll stealth drop it, or we'll drop it in the March maybe. Like, take a bit of pressure off the devs and be like, don't work towards a necessary date, just we'll have you in the chamber for maybe when we want you.
Maybe. But I don't know. It just feels like I'd be curious to see why they didn't haven't stuck a date on it, how much left did they have to do, because it looks quite finished from what we've seen.
Yeah, they showcase so much.
Yeah.
And then they were like 2-3 minutes in, you're like, okay, I've seen pretty much everything. And then they're like, oh, this is how our weapons work, and this is how time travel works in it. I think we're like 2-3 minutes in now, and they haven't even got to the time travel element of it.
Yeah, and because it was revealed quite a while ago, it feels like, why shows this without a date? That's just where I am with this game at the moment. It's like, why shows it now without sticking a date on it? I'm ready for the date. I want to know when I'm playing this now.
I wonder if they're waiting for like a quirky date to come along.
Yeah. It was June 2023 that was first announced. 2 years ago, they first saw this, and we still don't even have a year.
Interesting. But it looks good, and we'll no doubt see more. I suspect a developer direct. I think this is going to be one of the big ones they're probably going to lean into.
Yeah.
They've just done Outer Worlds 2 after the Xbox showcase. They did like a deep dive similar to how we had Call of Duty last year. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
It could be like March next year and do a dev direct at the start of the new year.
Yeah, I could see that. Flipping things back over to Obsidian, though, out of nowhere, July 29th, so what, just 6 weeks away, just short of? Grounded 2. We love Grounded. We played it on the channel loads. Yeah. The game kind of touches on like the little brief story in the first game of like kids get shrunken, they disappear, nobody knows where they are. But then we're back. And yeah, so this is Obsidian. 2025 for Obsidian, Richie, will be Avowed, Grounded 2, the sequel to the very successful Grounded, and then Outer Worlds 2 in October. 3 massive games. I think Grounded 2 is one where they've probably saved a lot of time because we're just asset flipping. I don't think Grounded 2 really needs much more adding to it other than just more stuff to do.
I mean, the premise is a story that goes through in the trailers. In the first game, you were a bunch of kids, and you were in a crazy scientist bad guy, and you got shrunk down. You had to survive. Yeah. In the second game, because you survived, you getting the statue raised of the 4 kids in a local park, and it happened again.
Did they ever escape, or is this just like them?
Yeah.
So
they escape.
So they just get shrunk again,
and then they just got shrunk again, seemingly.
So for this epic new game, then what are you expecting? So like we know there was like crafting mechanics. You had different. I'm guessing just tons of new enemies. Is going to be a big feature. New weapons.
New stuff to build, new enemies, new weapons, all that kind of stuff. Basically, just Grounded, make it bigger, more environments, different biomes and stuff. Because that's the fun thing with being shrunken down. I think on the trailers, like it looks like an ice cream level.
Yeah.
Like,
what would happen?
You got your classic classic kind of garden style level. You can go inside some electronics and stuff. So I do feel it is that kind of everything that made Grounded great. Let's just do more of it.
Yeah.
Oh, the trailer, interestingly, doesn't show you any of the crafting.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
looking. It looks like they're pushing the narrative at the moment of it.
which I don't mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we really enjoyed what we played with Grounded. It's definitely a game
Oh, yeah,
where
same.
if I was younger, similar to Minecraft, I think I could just sink entire evenings into it, just like gathering. I think you and me just fell down the rabbit hole of gathering like grass
Building
last
your
time,
base.
just to build the base, like grass and sticks. Occasionally killed a spider or two, but then it was like, yeah, look, we've got a fire pit. Look, we've got a storage chest to put our things in now.
I feel that's how these games are meant to be played. You slowly peel back the layers of the mechanics. So
Yeah.
you start by just building a house out of grass and sticks. Then you learn, if I use spiderweb, I can make this, which can make things better. And then you slowly improve everything over time.
Agreed. In terms of the game, are you surprised they've gone with a sequel? I feel like all of these add-ons could have been just added to Grounded. A bit like Sea of Thieves. Like, I don't think Sea of Thieves needs a sequel. It just needs constant content.
I don't know. I feel because there is a story running through it, and it's very much that story comes to an end if you play all the way through. Maybe they do need a new story to kind of push the game forward into new places. They could have maybe worked it in, but the thing is, it's free on Game Pass anyway, so I don't mind it being a sequel. And sometimes a sequel gets new players back in or new players to give it a go.
Yeah.
Where if you just continually develop the game, sometimes it can be intimidating to go back to.
That's true. Yeah, fresh start is always good. Do you think we'll ever see a Minecraft 2?
No, I think that's
just stuck.
That's too big, yeah.
Oh well, moving on to more time travel stuff. The next game we got revealed was one we saw at the Game Awards, I think, last year. This is Chronos: The New Dawn, which is a pulse-pounding third-person survival horror game where time is your deadliest weapon and your worst enemy. Survive a brutal future, dive back in time, and stop nightmarish creatures from merging into unstoppable abominations. The reason I want to bring this one up in particular is because this is from the Bloober team. So they just had huge success with Silent Hill 2. And people were like, oh, should they be making it? Is it really for them? And then they've just confirmed this week that they're going to be doing a Silent Hill remake. So much to my chagrin, Richie, they did 2, and now they're going back to do 1. And we know from what you and Tom were covering last week that we're getting Silent Hill F as well, which is the Japanese spin-off. Looks great, although the mechanics look a little bit clunky for the main character that you control. But the villains and the enemies and stuff, they look great. So this is Bloober's team's, I guess, shot in the dark to have a franchise that they own. So more money, no doubt, in their control, in their wheelhouse. Whilst they're crafting out these remakes of Silent Hill, they can kind of put their practices into making something new. So we've got almost like a Dead Space sci-fi version of Silent Hill here. And I think this could either elevate Bloober to like, these are the masters of horror alongside like the Resident Evils and stuff of the world, or this is just going to be an absolute flop and they're going to go back to just dishing out remakes of old horror games. Because it looks cool. This one looks cool.
It does. I think you hit the nail on the head. It looks very kind of Dead Spacey in kind of way. Bit probably oddly more grounded. I don't feel like it's in space.
No, we just spoke about Grounded.
Oh, Grounded too. Sorry. Yeah, it looks incredible. Do they nail the narrative and the story, and do they nail like the feel of it and the atmospheric horror, which I feel like watching the trailer they might do.
The trailer's got a lot of those, like, I don't want to say jump scare moments, but slow paced. I'd imagine if the music hits right in those moments, it could like get some proper good like jump scares and stuff. But then at the end of the trailer, they showcase quite a lot of bit of action with some interesting characters and everything. And again, really curious to see how like the time element comes into this.
Do you feel like some of the enemies look like they're inspired by clickers?
Yeah, a lot of it's very interesting. But I like the look of it. Again, I really enjoyed what we played of Dead Space when it came to Game Pass. Really enjoyed that. And we've enjoyed Resident Evil when we've played them.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go back to Dead Space, actually.
For a moment I did. I was going to pick it up and continue, and then I think something else just came out, and I was like, I don't want to be scared on my own. So I think doing it on the channel is a safe space for me with games like that. I feel like having you alongside me in our audience as we work through. I think jump scares, they're okay with friends. We got an update for Elder Scrolls June 18th, so later this week we're getting Season of the Worm Cult that's coming. Good news for all you Elder Scrolls fans out there. We then got another reveal trailer for Dontnod's next game, which is Aphelion, I want to say, which it's in a similar place, Dontnod, as we've just described Bloober Team at, where they made the Life is Strange ones, they broke away. This is the team that made Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden. So they've totally flipped and gone from like old school 1800s hunting ghosts in North America, completely pivoted away to sci-fi. And I hope this is great for them, because I think Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden was criminally underrated. It was one of my top games of 2022, I believe. I think that's what I want to say.
2022?
I think so.
No.
Oh no, it can't have been last year. 23, 24. Did I play it last year? Oh wait, I'll have it on my.
2024 came out. It was last year.
Why did I think it was so far before that then?
I don't know. It's 12th of February 2024 came out.
Oh, because it got delayed, didn't it? That's why it was supposed to come out in the autumn of 23, and then they did like a random bump back like 4 or 5 months, and I think that's when it lost all its marketing push, because they delayed it like one too many times, and all of a sudden it wasn't in anyone's conversation. It kind of came out in the March time and just got lost, and people kind of skipped over it. But yeah, one of the best games I've played in recent years. Great storytelling, great character development, beautiful world, fun puzzle dynamics, and dialogue choices that meant something, like really, really meant something. But they're pivoting now and they're going over to sci-fi. If this is just Banishers, I don't want to say just one for one Banishers in space, but if it's got all those tick boxes I just mentioned about story, graphics, character, and they tell a really compelling story in space, could be really fun. They don't really go into detail about what's really happening in this game, although it seems like someone who's stranded on their own and has to find their way back.
It looks, I get very much kind of like sci-fi action film vibes from it. It doesn't look like there's anything in the way of combat. It looks like almost just traversal based.
Yeah.
But so we'll see more when we know more about the story. But
yeah,
it's definitely got my interest.
So look at
I feel like if this is like I don't know, like an 8 to 10 hour story, just keep it quite linear.
Oh, well, to give you a bit of science, Aphelion refers to the point in the orbit of a planet or other celestial body where it is farthest from the sun.
All right.
So that'll explain why it's called. There's another game. There's another game. That can't. Is that it? No. There's another game called Aphelion on Steam. It says coming soon, but this doesn't look like this is a totally different game. So they might have a copyright thing going on there. On Dontnod's website, it says, stranded on a frozen planet, astronaut Ariane must brave rugged landscapes and shifting realities to rescue her wounded partner Thomas. This action-packed sci-fi adventure blends exploration, traversal, and tense stealth gameplay. So it doesn't look like she's going to really have a weapon. It's going to be about navigating something or other. By 2060, Earth will be uninhabitable. Well, we could tell you that, Richie. The discovery of a ninth planet, Persephone, at the edge of the solar system is humanity's best hope. The European Space Agency is dispatching the Hope-1 scientific mission, consisting of 2 of their accomplished astronauts, Ariane and Thomas. Their mission to survey the planet and determine whether humanity can prosper anew here. Your adventure begins in chaos as the crash landing of their ship scatters them across the planet, launching them on a desperate quest to find one another. Aphelion is a cinematic third-person adventure set on the planet Persephone. As an uncharted, frozen world, stranded and isolated, you must survive the truly unknown, find each other, and complete the mission. Traverse stunning alien landscapes, avoid lurking threats, and discover the haunting secrets buried beneath the ice. Calling it now, Aphelion is Earth, and beneath the ice is the remnants of our civilization.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon that, like... Well, it's very clearly stating that this is a ninth planet Persephone, which is not
But if you're
Like,
going through space, I feel like there's a going through space and time element to that, where they're going to use light speed or something to get. Because if you're going to the edge of our solar system, Richie, you ain't coming back in our lifetime. So there has to be some kind of like light speed, and I feel like if you're traveling the speed of light, there's that whole interstellar timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thing that goes on, where I feel like it's going to be total Planet of the Apes moment, where she's going to get something, get through the ice, find Thomas, and he's going to be like, it's here all along, we never left. And she's like, what do you mean we never left?
The
It was like,
freezer door open.
it's so cold. Yeah, could be good. Really intrigued. And yeah, but a couple of things we're seeing here, which are like, they have my intrigue, they just need to convince me now. Convince me to stay at the Grand Hotel as we move on to our next game, which is No Ghosts at the Grand. This was a world premiere showing a paranormal village decoration / refurbishing / cleaning game with a mystery at its core. Coming 2026, this was the, I guess, quirky game of the showcase, Richie, which it looked like a power wash simulator, almost. It was like, oh, he's an abandoned hotel. You're going to help clean it up for your grandfather. And then...
I'm getting that vibes, yeah.
And then just more shit happens, and then the game does more things, and it just looks wacky and fun. The guy dances at you and sings at you. Yeah, slightly long name for me. I would just call it Ghosts at the Grand, maybe.
Is it No Ghosts at the Grand?
Yeah, like I don't think it needs the no element. Because like, let's face it, if it says no ghosts at the Grand, you know there's going to be ghosts.
Well, but it says no ghosts, so why would you assume there's ghosts if it says clearly that there's no ghosts?
Well, wherever it says no parking,
You're
I always see cars.
You're a very mistrusting person.
I am. But yeah, it looks like I'm sure it's going to be a great VR game as well, to a degree. It looks like you rebuild everything, you drag the furniture in, using
Is it in VR?
suits. Okay. I don't think they've confirmed, but it looks like a VR game.
It looks like it could be very much easily in VR.
Yeah, it looks fun. You use the kind of Ghostbusters proton pack to kind of suck up books, re-put them on shelves, and paint things and refurbish things and just fix the town. And then all of a sudden you're embroiled in this kind of crazy ghost hunt with hex symbols and stuff, where you looks like you're going through portals to, I guess, probably find your granddad, and he never died after all, and the hotel's the source of the energy. I don't know. It looked quirky and interesting. I liked it. I digged it. No Ghosts at the Grand with a talking cat.
Coming next year.
Coming 2026. Moving swiftly on though. Again, let us know in the comments what you're playing. Age of Mythology Retold is getting some DLC called Heavenly Spear, which is going to bring an entire new Japanese Pantheon campaign to the story, which should go down well if anyone's played the game. I love the fact that a game that's like 30-year-old nearly at this point had its remake, still plays great, and then it gets new content. So far, like I think Age of Empires 2 got like 2 peaks last year, and it's like, oh, the inner 10-year-old inside me who put entire weeks into Age of Empires and Age of Mythology just looks at this as like, oh, you're eating good. If you're a long-term fan of this franchise, you're eating good.
The thing is, these games came out originally before DLC was a thing, so you had to go to the shop to buy another disc to install, and it's just logistically more complicated than it is now. Mm-hmm. So there's probably been had ideas that were just left on the development room floor for these games that now they can finally go back and revisit.
Yeah, Retold.
I haven't actually played Age of Mythology Retold yet.
It's just like Age of Empires, but with Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and...
I played Age of Mythology, but just not Retold.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. I was going to say, I was trying to explain it to you there. I was like, but it's got gods.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing, but gorgeous. We got it next up a trailer for Mudang 2 Hearts, and this is one of the games that I probably know the least about, if you've got any information on that, Richie. This is coming to Xbox and PS5 and PC in 2026. This game, probably for me, was the most from the whole showcase, where I was like, I don't really know what to expect of this one. Shows a lot of action, shows a cool environment and setting, looks a little bit...
Looks very Sega.
Yeah, very Sega. Doesn't look bad. I just think it didn't do anything that I hadn't seen before.
It's got the kind of like a dragon aesthetic going to it, but it looks more, rather than like comical kind of like Yakuza stuff, it looks very military shooter in places. But then there's also looks like you're playing as a blonde teenage girl traversing. and sneaking around places. So it's interesting to see how this all plays together.
Yeah, I can see that Sega vibe. What you're saying. Have you got any context for this one?
Nope, that's just the trailer.
Yeah,
So I really don't have much more to say about it, to be honest. It's very, very much is a. I think we need to see a bit more.
I'm
Doesn't even
watching
have a
more.
Steam page at the moment.
Yeah, it's got almost like Division vibes, but like you said, then it randomly cuts to like a blonde teenage girl, and I'm like, is it going to have like action parts with soldiers and then maybe stealth elements with the
reading
girl?
From the Xbox blog, Moved
There
On
he
Two
is.
Hearts is a narrative-driven, third-person action adventure game that blends cinematic storytelling with immersive stealth and dynamic combat on a politically volatile Korean peninsula. Built on our state-of-art performance capture pipeline, it integrates fluid motion-matched animations, open-ended level design, dynamic spatial audio, and intelligent AI woven seamlessly to deliver a harrowing journey through a fractured future Korea. This isn't a story of triumph or glory, it's a search for truth.
Wow. Sounds like some mind's eye level stuff, if you ask me. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. It doesn't look disinteresting, but Mudang? I don't know what these words mean. Moving on, though, to something I do know about. Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf, got confirmed, coming 2026. This got a big pop for me because I absolutely adored the first Planet of Lana. Did you get around to playing it when it dropped on Game Pass? You and Rob did a first look, right, if I recall?
I did a first look, but then I went away with work and then on a holiday, so I never actually got back to it.
Yeah,
so I think I only played a couple of hours.
I think the game's only like 8 hours long, if that. But yeah, it was one of those, like, if you've ever played Inside, it's one of those style games where it's like platform side scroller, left to right, move a couple of blocks, puzzles, tell your little cat sidekick friend to go do something or pull a lever or jump on a platform to trigger a doorway, that kind of thing. But the art style and the music for me were just super chill, super cozy. Just a relaxing game. I think I played it not long after my daughter was born, and I remember I think I was playing it at like 5 a.m. when she was like asleep in the basket next to me, and I was just like absolutely shattered off my face. But just like the game didn't really, it didn't require any like frenetic attention. I could just sit there, go left to right, figure out. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a few puzzles where my brain at that time was just like, it ain't clicking. There's a nice little like kind of horror vibe to it, where the beautiful world that you see before you was kind of overtaken by these, I guess, War of the World style little spider bots, and they had like the tension to it and the mystery. But yeah, definitely recommend Planet of Lana. I don't think it's on Game Pass anymore. I think it's gone. The sequel does look like you're going to have the ability to maybe control the bots a little bit more. But you have your little cat friend. It's the same characters, which I'm glad. They could have easily just picked another part of the planet and just retold another story, or for that matter, moved on to another game. But yeah, it's very rare that I think you see sequels to these type of games. Like even with like Inside and Limbo, like they're all intents and purpose spiritual successors to each other. We don't follow any protagonists along. I feel like it's very rare we get sequels with the same protagonist full stop, actually. Now I'm saying out loud. Like,
it doesn't actually happen that much.
Assassin's Creed doesn't even do it. Like, that's the biggest mistake for Assassin's Creed. And a random segue to Ubisoft stuff, but after Assassin's Creed Origins did really well, and then Odyssey did really well, and then Valhalla did really well, and then Shadows has done okay, why do we not see an Origins 2? Like, that would get such a pop for me if I was like, I get to play as Bayek again. I get to go back to Egypt and maybe expand into some more of the Middle East a little bit.
It's weird what they've done with Assassin's Creed, because with Origins, right, this I got, right, we're going to reboot the franchise, do a soft reboot of the franchise, and we're going to start by telling you the origins of the Assassin's Order. And that's Origins. And then they haven't touched on that again.
No, Shadows has none of it. Like, not a sausage.
Odyssey was pretty much pivoted to a completely different thing. Didn't really develop the Assassin's Order out. Was Cassandra even part of the Assassin's Order?
Yeah. She had all she tied in with the future stuff quite importantly, and then Shadows just abandoned it.
Yeah, but the Assassin's Order, as in the order that's happening, not the future stuff.
She did,
at time. Not much though. It's like So that I feel I don't know. And then with Valhalla, the order was kind of there, but you weren't really kind of part of it. It was just they had a little shack in your village.
Well, everyone's favourite seemingly was Cassandra, and it's like I could just imagine the pop Ubisoft would get. It's like, right, let's face it, what are Ubisoft going to do next? We've been everywhere, right? We've traversed the world, we've gone through history. Yeah. Where do you take Assassin's Creed next? It's like, just give us a sequel. If you go back and do another story in ancient Greece, and maybe she goes from Greece to, I don't know, Italy, perhaps, as well. So we see remnants of, like, kind of Ezio's town again. Not with him, but obviously Roman stuff was still a thing. Kind of tie them together, and because of the way Cassandra is, she can kind of go wherever, if you know what I mean. Spoilers.
They did actually as well look like they were going to like use Cassandra to tie in all the threads from different games, but then they also seemingly have abandoned.
Then nothing happened.
Well.
Yeah, because Cassandra
met them like kind of crossover DLCs when
Cassandra met Eivor, right, in Valhalla, the DLC.
Yeah.
So either way, total segue, but it's just like, man, just go like give me more sequels, people. Like, we stop doing remakes and give me sequels to games that are great. Next up, we got Fallout 76 update. Gone fishing. I like the little pun thrown in there. I'm not going to really spend much time. It's just more Fallout with some extra.
I like the pun, but it's good pun, bad mechanics.
I hate fishing in games. Yeah, fishing, horses, all that type of stuff. No go for me. But yeah, I do like the pun. I'm going to skip this one as well because I didn't really think it looked that great. Soul Leveling, Arise Overdrive. This was another one where it's like, this felt like this whole section felt like the advertisement chunk where it's like, oh, we need like 10 minutes of stuff, but
anime tie-in games.
Yeah, Soul Leveling Override coming 2026. Amino acids. I don't know what this game was trying to be. A little cutesy game where you play as little fluffy animals on a desert island, or you collect fluffy animals on a desert island.
What? For a little cutesy game, it does look quite nice.
It does. It looks cute and fluffy. And unlike Pal World, going around murdering the shit out of them all.
Yeah, it does kind of have Pal World without guns vibes, but not quite being Pokemon. But there again, there's some creatures that do look straight out of Pokemon.
Yeah. You look after your pet and they'll grow into the new one. It looks pretty. Again, everything that's going to be Unreal is going to look great now. We then got an update for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. Did we know the date before this or not?
I can't remember.
11th of July is when it's coming.
I think we might have done. I think we did.
Do you know Bam Margera's in it now?
Yeah,
I thought we had. We then saw a trailer for At Fate's End, which was looking like a fantastic 2D platformer to keep an eye on. What are your thoughts on this one, Richie? This reminded me of
very Metroidvania vibes from this.
It reminded me of At Death's Door meet. Is it Greece or Greece? I can't remember what we ended up calling it in the end. In terms of like the art style, but this is from the people who made Spiritfarer. So the critically acclaimed Spiritfarer one, so it's their next game. So I'm imagining deep emotional beats mixed in with some fun gameplay.
I'm wrong with the Metroidvania. It's like the first few shots do look Metroidvania, but the more you watch, it just looks similar, almost in the kind of vein to something like a Planet of Lana, where it is this kind of side-scrolly game. Although there seems to be more action rather than puzzle, but
yeah, I was trying to.
Looks good.
Again, Spiritfarer, I think those devs have done enough with that game to kind of merit some patience. And like, no, we know what we're doing. We're going to tell a really good story. The protagonist seems to have some kind of like ethereal sword. It's like the power. It does seem to be a bit more combat. At Fate's End, cool name. We'll have to wait to see what that looks like closer to 2026. What else have we got? This big showcase keeps going. We're like an hour 20 in the show. I've just realised, and we've got like shit tons to get through.
Yeah.
Gears of War Reloaded, we can skip because it's just more of that. Persona 4 Revival, Richie, you're the big Persona guy. Does this tick your box?
It feels like Atlas is doing everything over than Persona 6.
When do you realistically expect Persona 6?
It could be. It's been quite a while since Persona 5, so literally this could have been Persona 6. But it looks like they're doing Persona 4, a remake of Persona 4.
So
I haven't played Persona 4, so...
So what was the Persona 3 and 4 which just got an Xbox? Was that just the port?
They did I think a remaster of 4 and a remake of 3.
Right. And now we're getting
Persona 3 Reload was a remake, and then they just did it might have been a port with a bit of a remaster of 4.
So what's Revival then? Is this just like from the ground up remake?
I think maybe.
I remember
I've not played enough. It doesn't look that much different because I did the first look on Persona 4,
Yeah.
and it doesn't look that much different where it looks like a from the ground up remake. So I don't know, to be honest.
Weird. I remember when I
no
bought
release date for it, but
when they shut the PlayStation Vita store down, and I bought Persona 4 Golden just so I had it to play on the Vita, and now we've had about 10 remakes. So I could have played it elsewhere other than the Vita now because it ported. We got Sea of Thieves Season 17, Smuggler's Tide. Shout out to Sea of Thieves, still going. Invincible Versus looked really good. I'm not really into fighting games, but I've really enjoyed the Invincible TV series. I don't know if you checked it out yet, Richie, on Amazon.
no, I haven't watched it.
It's like the level of violence that you see in The Boys. I presume you watched some of The Boys as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen The Boys.
Yeah. Not The Boys merchandise that's available now on our storefront, where it's all of our 4 beautiful faces in pixelated form on some merch. But in terms of Invincible, don't buy it just yet. In terms of this particular game, though, it's just like it's a fighting game, but it's based on the show. The only downside that I've seen so far is the character roster looks very limited. But the comedy looks like it's there. The ultra violence looks like it's there. 3v3, and off the back of what was it, Marvel? What was that Marvel game that was at the end of the State of Play or Game Fest? Was it Marvel Hawkoon something?
I don't know. See, I can't remember it.
It was like
there you go. It was not memorable.
It was like the biggest game. It was the last game Game Fest ended on. You and Tom covered it, but either way, Invincible Versus, it's coming.
Marvel talking fighting.
Yeah, that's why. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade, and Final Fantasy 16 coming to Xbox later this year. Oh no, they're out now. Not later this year. They're out now. Recommend Final Fantasy 16 if you've not played it.
Final Fantasy VII.
If you've not played it, there you go. The next big one we got was a trailer for Keeper, which is a quirky one from Double Fine, which are the folks who made Psychonauts 2. So this is their first game since Psychonauts 2. Game of the Year nominated Psychonauts 2. Coming 17th of October. If you've ever thought, Richie, I want to control a lighthouse, this is the game for you.
I've always wanted to play a game where you play as a lighthouse.
Me too. I actually remember when we were in primary school together and the teachers would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And most kids are like,
I want to be a lighthouse.
Police officer, nurse, carer, anything like that. And Richie, you were just 100% adamant the whole time.
I want to be a lighthouse. It's like, do you want to be a lighthouse keeper? No, a lighthouse.
Yeah. Like, but why? And then, just don't squash your dreams because now you can do it later on this year.
To be fair, Double Fine are kind of the masters of a kind of the weird concept game.
Yeah. It looks great.
So it does look good, yeah.
It looks absolutely banging.
The concept is just ridiculous, but it does look good. So
it'll be interesting to see if there's any more other than just being the lighthouse, or like that is the character. But it's got I'd say like Little Nightmare vibes as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like Psychonauts was much more of a story with all like the little characters and stuff, but this seems to be like a very muted protagonist in the form of like the lighthouse doesn't talk. There's loads of like wacky, crazy characters and creatures around the world, but yeah, it just looks like a fun little intriguing adventure game, and I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in their storyboard when they pitch this to Xbox and Phil Spencer's there and they're like, right, tell me what you're going to do next. Psychonauts 2 got some Game of the Year nominations. It's been Xbox's only Game of the Year nomination, I think, in years. What do you want to do next? And they're like, hear me out. Hear us out. We want to be a lighthouse and we want to walk around and solve puzzles. And they're like, God damn it, I'm in. Sold.
It's like, do you want to do Psychonauts 3? No, I want to make a game about a lighthouse.
Game about lighthouse.
Oh, what? You uncover the history of a lighthouse? No. You play as the lighthouse,
brick by brick.
How does that work? You travel the world by playing as a lighthouse with legs.
Just trust us, Phil. Just trust us on this one. And in Phil, we trust because the showcase rounded out with Phil Spencer making an appearance, talking a little bit about the history of Xbox, the future of Xbox, and that, and I quote, players will get to celebrate 25 years of Xbox with a new Fable, the next Forza, Gears of War E-Day, and the return of a classic that's been with us since the beginning. Which you would think would be Halo, right, Richie?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Halo. Bear in mind they rebranded the studio. It's been a while since Halo Infinite.
Yeah. It's the 25th anniversary next year as well, because it's one for
Is
one
it
in
time
line.
to reboot Halo?
Oh, 100% is. They need to do the same thing they're doing with Gears. Give us Halo Reloaded, whatever that looks like, and start from scratch and drip feed us.
But do you want to do a Halo Reloaded, or do you want to actually just put a line under what they've already done, and let's just start from scratch?
I think they'll do a mixture of both, because you want to bring in the old fans and new fans. But we'll talk about that in a later day.
Yeah.
Because Phil kind of irked people a little bit here, because in the showcase, he led in with that question, and everyone was like, the next trailer is going to be Halo. Because it faded to black after he said, and the return of a classic that's been with us since the beginning, fade to black. And it wasn't a trailer for Halo, it was a trailer for Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which, I mean, I guess it's Xbox's biggest, most expensive, it's their biggest thing, hands down, that they own now. And yes, technically it's been there since the beginning.
It's in that weird thing. It's one of the biggest gaming franchise of all time, but it's just the next Call of Duty. They could have put this at any point in the showcase.
I mean, last year it had its own direct afterwards.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what this year's was called. So, it was a little bit of misdirection where I think a couple of people were like a bit peeved that they thought they were getting Halo.
A weird editing choice.
Yeah.
I just put that down at a weird editing choice.
Well, I thought when I was watching the trailer and they showed the video of like the robot character, and you've got, I forgot his name. He's got an Italian name. He's the actor from Heroes. He was the main guy in Heroes way years ago.
Peter Petrelli.
Yeah, that guy. It's the actor who plays that guy. Yeah, that's the character's name. And then you had this lady
I'm surprised I remembered that.
That's a good pull. Then you had this lady come out who's like clearly a hologram. And in my mind, I'm like, right, there's robots. It's sci-fi. That's clearly a version of Cortana or a different version of her. It showed me all these futuristic vehicles. And I was like, the Warthog's going to be one of these vehicles. And this is going to be Master Chief. And the reboot is going to give an actual face to Master Chief. And then he touched the butterfly, and it all went warfare, and it was like, oh wait, and then it went. It did the Call of Duty sound. I was like, this is Black Ops 7, and it was like, huh. I'm not mad at them because cinematically, like, I really enjoyed Black Ops 6. The thing we need to call out though, Richie, this is the first time we've had a back-to-back Call of Duty entry that hasn't pivoted and gone to a different franchise. We just had Black Ops 6 last year, and now we're getting Black Ops 7 this year.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's breaking the mold. We haven't gone to Modern Warfare. We haven't pivoted across to anything else. It's just, for the first time, back-to-back years with Mason and his story.
We do know Phil Spencer is more of the kind of the game we'll publish the game when the game's ready kind of thing, rather than trying to hold people to these rigid release schedules. So maybe they've relaxed things, and the next Modern Warfare isn't ready to go yet. But the Black Ops 7 was, so they're going, well, let's just go with Black Ops 7 instead of Modern Warfare 9 or whatever it is going to be next. It might just be that. It's like, well, one's ready to go, one's not. So let's go with the one that's ready to go.
It's a choice, but I'm not annoyed by it.
I do think the best thing they can do for Call of Duty is probably not try to rigidly stick to a game a year. If you get 3 games out in 3 years succession, fine. But then if it's a 2-year gap for the next one, so be it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be the best thing for a game, is to have a bit of room to breathe.
Yeah, I agree. And that was the end of the showcase. No release date or window yet. Presumably it's going to drop this autumn, like Call of Duty traditionally has done for the last 20 years. Call of Duty, if this is Black Ops 7, is there any other franchises bar Final Fantasy that have got past the 7th entry?
Oh yeah, there'll be Dragon Quest.
Any non-Japanese games? That just
non-Japanese. Well, most of the games are Japanese, Chris.
No, they're not. But
everything by Nintendo and Sony is immediately off the table, and Sega and Square
Well, not
Enix.
really, because the developer, like the company is, but like the developers are based all over the world. Yeah, Black Ops 7's like quite a big number. I think we've had 7 entries in the series, and I couldn't really tell you anything about any of the previous ones.
Fallout's on number 76.
That's true. And to be fair, I was surprised.
Cyberpunk.
I was surprised when we were playing Expedition 33. I didn't remember the prior 32 entries in that series. But anyway, let's get through some, I guess, news to round out the show. It's going to be another bumper episode for our wonderful audience out there this week. I wanted to bring your attention. That's the end of the showcase. Was great. Lots of stuff revealed. We'll be talking about it for the months and years to come. We've definitely filled our boots. And again, we would have reacted to it and watched it if I wasn't moving house and work was in the way. Because honestly, watching it after the fact, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to sit down together and like just be like, oh my word.
The time of it.
It couldn't have been worse.
Editing to like past midnight to try and get it in, and it's been another hour and a half to cover.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't going to work.
Agreed. But I'm going to merge 2 things together then at the end of this show. So Switch 2 is out. I have it. Oh, that was a good click. That was a very Switch 2
I know. I went for it and I nailed it. I'm happy.
Mario Kart is here. Da-da-da-da-da. It's fun. I know. You want to play it, don't you?
I do.
Oh no, I'm going backwards. I was pressing the wrong button. I'm going to lose this race now. All because I wasn't looking and paying attention. I'll catch up to it. I'll get there. So
it's A, accelerate.
Yes.
Oh, I thought they would have changed it up by now.
That's probably why I pressed B or the trigger. But yeah, the Switch 2 is here. I've got it. I like it a lot. It's pretty much what we expected, Richie. It's just more switchiness. I'm not going to give anyone a deep, in-depth tech review at the end of an hour and a half worth of show, but Joy-Cons are great. They do snap on really well. The magnets in these are like mega strong. The device feels robust. The screen, the OLED display is really, really nice. The kickstand, so much better. Like that full, look at that. I can go all the way. I'm trying to showcase for audio viewers. I can go all the way back. It's quite solid. It spans the full width of the device rather than
I'm using the OLED one as a comparison.
It's like I'm peeking through a letterbox.
I can't do that.
Yeah. But compared to the original one where I just had that tiny little kickstand, that was pathetic.
They improved it for the OLED immediately, so you can see on the OLED version I've got it's the full width.
Yeah,
but
which it should have been.
And it does have quite a lot of like more movement as well.
But yeah, to sandwich it with my Mario Kart review, I guess the console's great. If you've got a Switch, fantastic. If you're looking in the market for one, great. It's worth it. It's worth it. And I look at this as like it's like an 8-year investment. I'm not going to buy another Switch now for probably near on a decade. So I'm going to be nearly 50 by the time I invest in another Nintendo console, which is horrible to say out loud. But Richie, Mario Kart World, replacing 8 Deluxe, is out now. Switch 2 is the company's fastest selling hardware ever. It sold 3.5 million units after its first 4 days on sales, and I'm sure it's going to shoot through the roof. Further, to give a bit of comparison, Sony sold 4.5 million PlayStation 5 units globally in its first quarter, but not its first few days. So it is shit hot. In terms of the game itself, I've not been playing that much on it. I've purchased for some reason the Batman Arkham trilogy for like the 100th time now, because I wanted something to play and it was on sale, and I was like,
I'm sorry. You bought a Switch 2, and the game you bought for it was the Batman Arkham trilogy, which you probably have on every other platform you own.
But I wanted it portable, and I wanted to play it on the new tech that I've just bought. But yeah,
you could have just
I know. But because I've got my new thing, and yeah, I feel like the Switch 2 is going to be like almost like my backlog gaming thing, where games I've wanted to play for years now, and they have a Switch version running on it. That'll be what I use it for. But predominantly, it's always going to be my Pokemon machine, my Mario machine, because everything else is going to be PlayStation or Xbox for me. And Mario Kart World, it's more Mario Kart. What is there to say? It's sitting with an 87 on Metacritic, doing really, really well over there. I will say, kind of disappointed in the open world element of it. It's a little bit lacking for me. I don't know what I was expecting. But you can basically do like your typical like Grand Prix. I don't know if you know about like the knockout modes, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's similar to Forza, where like it's obviously 24-player races. If you are in the last echelon of races, when you hit a certain vantage point, it just knocks everyone out of the competition. So you have to survive to like the final four. They're fun. The way the tracks intertwine is great. Jumping from map to map is fun. But yeah, then you get out into the open world and kind of free roam, and the world just feels a bit empty. There's not really much going on in it. There's not much like kind of just dynamics going on. And like you get a couple of cars on the road, and there's the odd Goomba jumping around, and Bullet Bill flying occasionally, but it just feels a bit void. Like there's some things to do, like you can go and find little checkpoints and collect stickers, and peach tokens are around, and like little time trials where like you'll find a random starting point in the open world, and it'll go, oh, you've got less than 60 seconds to reach this vantage point up on a hill, and you do it, and then it goes, well, hey, there's a token, and that's kind of it. And I just feel like it's just a bit lacking for like, I don't care about any of this stuff in the open world. And the races are great. Like I'm working my way through 3-star and everything, as you do. You go through 50cc, 100, 150. Every Grand Prix, unlock all the different characters. There's skin packs, like different outfits and stuff. And it's ticking over nicely. I'm having fun. I'm playing it every night. But yeah, I just feel like for Mario Kart World, like let's face it, this is going to be your Mario Kart racing supplement for probably the next 8 years, if Deluxe is anything to go by. They're going to add loads of content to it, loads of different maybe game modes. And I hope they really pad up the open world, but yeah, it just feels like significantly lacking in stuff to do. And the biggest thing for me is because there's no story at all. I don't know why I should have expected it, because it's not really part of the game, but I think because they've got such an open world, it would be great to pull up to a character, get a bit of just background story about what they're doing today in this world, and then I guess you go and like just do a quest for them. And it's just not there. It's like a little speech bubble pops up, and then you just go do it, and I get a coin. It's like, great.
It feels like what I kind of worried about with it. It's like, okay, you're making Mario Kart open world. My big question was, why would you do that? What is this adding to a kart racer?
Yeah.
That you need open world, and it feels like they've added some stuff in. It feels more like they've got this open world and went, okay, what do we do with it, rather than going, oh, we've got all these cool ideas, we need an open world to service them.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, from what you're describing, they've done it the wrong way around. They've decided to make it open world, now are looking for things to put in there.
Yeah. And no doubt in the next 5 years, they'll very much do that, and the game will only get better from this point out. And if you're after a Mario Kart game, it's Mario Kart game. You'll have loads of fun. I'm going to play some with the wife later on.
Oh, no doubt. I'd love this game if I bought it.
Yeah.
Because it's Mario Kart, and if as long as the base game is Mario Kart, and it's fine.
Yep.
But then it's like the modes that they're pushing for the new modes just feel a bit like less interesting to me.
Yeah, I get
like,
that.
I kind of said when we kind of first covered it, it's when it first got announced, like, oh, so in your Grand Prix, between races, you can drive to the next race. My answer was like, well, why? That just feels like it's just wasting time.
Yeah.
I want to get back into the race. I want to keep that.
Yeah. And like I said,
it'd be like in Smash Bros. Like, you finished your fight, so now you need to walk
to the next
5
arena
minutes to do the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where like the world being so empty kind of just doesn't add anything to it. Like, I'm not doing anything dynamic. So after a while, you just kind of realize, like, I'm just holding down here. I'm not even going that fast, because, like, let's face it, like, if you're not on a boosted grid or you've got 20 coins, you tend not to go that fast in Mario Kart. So yeah, it's just a bit void of something. So I'm enjoying it, but they could have done, and I'm sure they will do a lot more too. But the Switch is great, the game's great, and Batman Arkham Asylum runs great on it as well. While I wait, partially I haven't played anything else because my original Switch, which has all my cartridges, is packed away in the bottom of one of these crates, and I have no idea where. So I'll get to it at some point. Speaking of some just quick roundup news for the rest of the show, Nintendo have announced a Splatoon Raiders 2 for the Switch, which is like a spin-off of the main series. We'll talk about that more when we get more details. Control's FBC Firebreak, which comes out this week, which we will try and get something in for if we can, probably leaning more towards the not availability because I'm away in Birmingham this week. and other things. But we'll get to it. We'll play it with you, the community, soon enough. But yeah, 2 new pieces of content getting added before the end of the year in a post-launch roadmap. Codename Outbreak and Codename Blackout are going to bring loads of new difficulties, characters, weapons, and such as well, as you can expect. So go enjoy that. Shout out to Stellar Blade. Just hit on PC this past week and hit record numbers for a PlayStation published title. The concurrent player base is now up to 183,830. Which, to put that into perspective, Richie, Spider-Man Remastered all-time peak, 66,000. Horizon Complete Edition, 56,000. Last of Us Part 1, 36. God of War Ragnarok, 35,000. Stellar Blade, 186. It's surpassed everything else by a good 100k.
I'm surprised it's absolutely blown past Spider-Man in second place.
That is Spider-Man Remastered, so I don't know if we got a different version first, but that is the highest PlayStation one.
I think that was it.
2022.
Yeah.
Obviously, Days Gone isn't in there, which I think Days Gone actually was probably higher than most of them too. But I think we all know why this is, Richie. If we're honest,
This is a good game.
It's a great game. It got loads of stuff. Now it's on PC. Modders can get their hands on it, and I've already seen. Let's just say Eve, I think, is the character in it. Let's just say she doesn't wear many clothes in the game with her voluptuous body. Let's just say she's wearing even less clothes, and she's doing some things in some of the articles I've seen that are not part of the game. And let's just face it, the PC Master Race, Richie, are just clearly a bunch of horny bastards.
Yeah, clearly.
Clearly. I mean, you know what? Do what you want. Do what you want.
Have fun.
Have fun. Not too much fun, but have fun. So yeah, shout out to Stellar Blade. And we know there's a sequel being confirmed. And I think it is just that case of, you throw an attractive girl in there and you give her some action shit to do. And then you give it to a modding community, it's going to do well with the way the world and the internet is out there. So no disrespect to the game, but I think a lot of these sales are maybe from non-gaming reasons. But that doesn't stop sales and that doesn't stop money. So everyone involved will be very, very happy. Couple of quick ones. Still Wakes the Deep. Getting some DLC coming next week. Actually, this week. Still Wakes the Deep DLC's titled Siren's Rest goes back in time. It takes us to the 80s. I wish I played more of that game. I did a first look for the channel and I really enjoyed it. It had a really good vibe to it. I like what the Chinese room do. I really enjoyed Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. So nice to see it's getting DLC, which means it's usually done quite well. Another shout out to Amazon Luna. Didn't expect us to say that this week, did you, folks?
Nope, I didn't.
New to Amazon Luna is more stuff from EA. So they're going to add Need for Speed Unbound and FC25. A little bit late. Season's finished. New game's out in 2 months. But it shows that EA and Luna are still pushing ahead with these partnerships. The latest installment is available now. It's also available to Luna Plus subscribers, so you can play them through there. And they also added the fact that if you purchased any titles on EA previously via the Origin Store, if you link your account to Amazon Luna's account, you'll have access to those games to run from the cloud services. And games are also purchasable standalone. So, in a weird twist about way, Richie, we are back at the Stadia model. With EA, though.
Yep.
Which, again, we said for Google Stadia that landing EA or some EA games like FIFA was one of the biggest gets you could do. And it's taking the time, but you know what? Credit where credit's due. They're chipping away. They're adding content. They're doing stuff. And good for them.
They'll get there. Hopefully.
They'll get there. And then the final quick stories, I'm not even going to go into. I'm just going to round up the show, Richie. And we like to end every single show by looking back at this day in video game history. We're recording this on June 14th, 2025. Let's go back in time, Richie. I know which one you're going to go to straight away. What happened?
Oh, a certain game came out that kind of took the world by storm.
Changed the world.
Of course, I'm talking about The Last of Us on PS3 12 years ago.
No, you're not. Tell us the truth.
Fallout Shelter?
Nope.
10 years ago?
Come on.
Wreckfest 7 years ago?
We've been going for
Son of
one hour
13 years
46.
ago? Batman Begins. That's interesting.
That doesn't work.
Donkey Kong, Tetris.
I mean, Donkey Kong's one. Yes, Tetris. With 36 years ago in Japan, 1989, Tetris released on the original Game Boy, and the world was never the same again. Shout out to Tetris. And Donkey Kong in 1994, also on the Game Boy. Did you ever watch that Tetris movie with Aaron Teganin? Is he called? Taron Egerton, actually, I think is his name. It's on Apple Plus. It tells you the origin story of Tetris and how it made its way out of Russia, or a small office in Russia, to the Western world and Japan as well.
I think I've seen clips of it.
It's really good movie, really interesting. But yeah, that brings us to an end. I'm not even going to skip ahead a day because we've been going that long. But that does bring us to an end of episode 96 of the GamerGuild Podcast. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. Thank you everyone who's watched across the weeks and the years. Of course, we'll be back next week with another show around up all the juicy video game news. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
We've been the GamerGuild Podcast, folks. And remember, play whatever makes you the happiest. See you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.